And right now we're going to go straight to Tina Traster. She is the publisher and editor of rcbizjournal.com. Good morning, Tina. How are you?
Good morning, Rockland County. Good morning to you guys. How's everybody over there?
Doing well, thank you. What's big in the world of business here in Rockland County this week? I know we had talked. I thought we were going to talk about some of the Hightour situations going on. But if there's anything else that you want to talk about, certainly you're more than welcome to do that.
This is what I recommend.
Okay.
Let me talk about all of the really big and interesting news that's percolating in Stony Point.
Sure.
And then if I have a 3 to 4 minutes at the end, I can give you what I think is an update on that front. But there's some very interesting things that are happening up in Stony Point, a corner of the county that sometimes other people, we don't pay attention to, but we should. So first of all, this is not absolutely new, but a group called the Hoagland Group bought the former Lovett plant about a year ago for $2.85 million. The site, which we all know had closed down, a decade ago, was being used as a staging site in the interim by the New York Department of Transportation for the logistics for the building of the Mario Cuomo Bridge. And then, as I said, in 2021 or late 2020, it was purchased by a Long Island-based company that it's an infrastructure company that provides services for construction and energy projects. And what Hoagland is intending to do on that site is to use it also as a logistics and transportation site for wind farms that are starting for the first time to be built off the Long Island coastline to create wind energy. And this is really quite interesting for several reasons. First of all, its timing is not coincidental with a resolution that is going to have a public hearing and will likely be passed tomorrow night in Stony Point for a proposed legislation that's known as the River and Rail Brownfield Redevelopment Floating Zone. What a floating zone is a zoning tool where you can designate a zoning district, but you don't have to map it. And the town started with discussions with the former Lovett plant site and their new owners, but has extended out to a handful of the industrial properties that lie between the river and the rail, and that need to basically be reinvigorated or to come back to life in one way or another. And despite how they're actually zoned, which is for waterfront usage, are not really suited for, say, restaurants or water recreation or things like, or housing or anything like that, but rather probably need to continue in some fashion in an industrial capacity and bring jobs back to Stony Point and revive what I think adds up to more than 300 acres of actual land. We're talking about the Tilcon plant, we're talking about the Lovett site, we're talking about the gypsum plant, and one other. And this, like I said, this resolution will be up tomorrow night in Stony Point. I'm expecting passage of that. I think that there is support for that across the board. This company, Hoagland, it's really interesting to look at some of the thoughts that they have about this site. They're talking potentially about plugging into the O&R grid. They're talking potentially about, now we're not talking about wind farms in the Hudson River, so hopefully there will not be a disinformation campaign sailing along as a result of this company coming to Stony Point. What they're talking about are putting things like cable and what they call underwater mattresses, which are things that protect the cable, putting them from train to barge down the Hudson and out to Long Island. So it's just as what they were doing with the New York Department of Transportation. It's logistics and it's transportation and it's storage. You know, one thing about this proposal of this is floating zone, this river and rail thing, is that Stony Point is not it's not well situated for truck traffic, but it's really well situated for river and rail transportation. And so, you know, bringing that part of the town back online, making it relevant again, bringing jobs back in an area that is already, let's just say, blighted with you know, industrial sites and in some cases contaminated sites. I think it's forward thinking. I think it makes sense. I think that it certainly never makes sense to have fallow land. And as we all know and all remember, the closure of the plant cost the town an arm and a leg and long-term consequences, both in terms of tax consequences and in terms of loss of jobs. So that's you know, it's not sexy, but it's interesting. And one other possibility, you know, that even that in our interview with the Hoagland folks, that they said is that it may even inspire the Tilcon plant up there to come back online, because these wind farms need this scour rock, which is something that the Tilcon plants mine, and that it might be a motivator to get those plants back up operating and to have some synergy between the two operations in order to support wind farm energy. So kind of interesting. You know, we need clean energy. We need more energy. We need more powers to the grid. And I don't know. This sounds like an interesting thing. Any questions so far?
Nope, you've covered it pretty well. Very good.
Okay, and then just also on tomorrow night in Stony Point is we're expecting also to see what's called an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding that is likely to be that is likely to, I think, also find the support among the council, which would give the supervisor the authorization to enter into an agreement for the sale of the Letchworth property, which is right now being discussed as a possible mixed-use site for residential and senior housing. And there's all sorts of, you know, goodies mixed into this proposal. And as I think we've already said, there is already a referendum on the ballot on November 8th. So citizens can, you know, weigh in as to whether they want to see this site once and for all revitalized. The developer has agreed to maintain, fix up and give to the town the Kirkbride building, and at the same time knock down all of the other buildings with all of its asbestos and all of the contaminants and all of the cleanup that needs to be done there, and has put a proposal forth. He had come to the town back in, I think it was May. So, you know, a lot going on in Stony Point, and I think that's, I guess that's a good thing, because I guess when you look at the town, they have, you know, these massive pieces of land that are just basically out of commission. So keep a pin in both of these stories. We will see what happens at the town hall tomorrow night, but expecting forward motion on all of the above. So that's Stony Point.
Excellent. If you have a few moments, I know you had wanted to update us on the situation with Hightour. Did you have anything new with that?
Well, okay, let's see. Where were we last when we were chatting about Hightour?
Well, we were talking about the idea of the we're still waiting on the county's 5 supervisors, town supervisors, to come out and with their plan and figure out what it is that they recommend doing, which they haven't done yet.
Yeah.
We're kind of waiting on that. So that's where it's really kind of left off. We haven't heard anything from the legislature, not at least we haven't directly. We've heard from the county executive. He wants it done now. And what is everybody waiting for? So we're kind of stuck between a bunch of rocks and hard places when it comes to all this.
Yeah, okay. So I'll give you my take on based on the latest reporting that we've done and what we know. The county executive did indeed issue an RFI a week or so ago. We wrote about that, and I guess that did come as something of a surprise amidst all of the chaos that's been caused here by this. So they say that they're officially seeking candidates who are interested in the future management of the animal shelter. The RFI was posted on July 19th, and I believe that the bids are due, they're not really bids, I guess. They're probably proposals are due August 11th, so that's this week. If you look at the language of this, it's very interesting, and so here's where the forecasting comes in, okay? The RFI specifies that they're looking for, someone to go into contract with, and specifically they're looking for an organization that is a nonprofit, that is an organization that has experience running an animal shelter, and that has a board set up that can show that they have a budget that's been in place. I mean, essentially, what the RFI says is Hightour submit something, but de facto, you're the only one, presumably, that would qualify here. Now, I am pretty sure that the organization Four Legs Good, which does the most spectacular work and for rescue and adoption, but I don't believe that they're going to step into this forum. So that's one contender. The Humane Society, I had to look into my crystal ball based on what their mission is and what I know about that organization. I would be surprised if they threw their hat in the ring. Now, the supervisors, while they've done a lot of squawking about all of this and really I think have used the Boulder Stadium and firecrackers as a diversion, I hardly can imagine how they come together as a group that is eligible to step in here and be the people, say, or have the infrastructure, the organizational infrastructure ready to just step in and run Hightour. Plus, I imagine they don't want to step in and run Hightour until there is a new building built. The bottom line here is that, on August 11th or August 12th, the county executive can turn around and say the only one who has submitted a true and viable plan is Hightour. So that might buy Hightour a year or so to continue doing what it does. The question is, does this then give the legislators what they need to clear the decks to move forward in time to get this new shelter funded and rebuilt, because this is not over. The efforts, I believe, by Rockland Green to try to take over the shelter in one way or another, I don't think that they're over. It's just that now we're dealing with several diversions. So best guess is that somehow Hightour will continue to slog along for a while. But the real question and the one that we really need to follow is whether or not the legislators will be satisfied to understand that we'll be enlightened enough. We'll be taught. We'll be educated to understand that there is no alternative at the ready. That there's no other unless the only thing I could imagine is that there's some outlier out there that I'm not aware of that wants to swoop in and take over this, decrepit, challenged shelter. If that were to happen, that would be, kind of like, in a sort of a Netflix series where it's a plot twist that I can't even imagine. But I'd be surprised if we see like an outlier come in and there's yet another kind of twist and turn on this story. I think that Ed Day wants to get this shelter rebuild pinned down, and I just think that's really what has to happen here. To leave this thing in limbo, I just don't see how that's an option. What do you think? I know you have opinions about this too.
I have always held to, and some people are saying it's a different kind of a situation, but I liken this to the situation that's going on with the Sane building. I think that it's a project that is long overdue, that we had a plan in place for, and at the last minute, the rug got pulled out from under it, and we're going to be wringing our hands for the next X number of years going, we should have done this years ago. I think they're both on very similar paths, and I find it horrifying.
I find it horrifying too, because whereas the Sane building is just a building, the animal shelter is filled with life.
Indeed. Well, there is a component that makes it different, and certainly that's it. There's no doubt about it. And the animals don't have a say in any of this. They're just, caught between lots of human beings.
I know.
But the underlying situation to me, whereas the Sane building isn't just a building, it also represents what it could be. It could be a senior housing complex. It could be, in some people's visions, a park with tea and coffee stations. Whatever it is, it could be something rather than nothing. And so I think they're both along similar paths, which to me is the most distressing part about it, because they both had deals ready to go.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. It's confounding.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. And like you said, it's the most unfortunate part of this one is that the animals are caught in between everything, that we human beings tend to mess up for them. Tina Trasser, thank you so much for joining us as always. Tina joins us every Monday at 9:15. You can catch everything she writes about on rcbizjournal.com. And we'll talk to you again next Monday. Tina, thank you so much for joining us.
Have a great week.
You too.